I have a confession to make. The reason I went to go see Glass was not because I loved Unbreakable, even though I did. I didn't see it because I love M. Night Shyamalan. His record's been a little spotty as of late. I didn't see it because I love Bruce Willis and everything since Moonlighting. I went to see it because the critics panned it. But on Rotten Tomatoes, despite the critical reviews, 96% of fans still wanted to see it. The movie started slow, and I expected another Shyamalan clunker. I never saw Split. I didn't even know it existed until this movie trailer dropped for Glass. I had to ask my husband for an explanation of that plot and the storyline of that movie so I can approach this one more well informed. But something happened, something that happens to a lot of comic book, sci-fi, fantasy fans. I connect. This is a seriously thought-invoking film if you like comics. If you can get past all the things that seem implausible, things that go along with what we know as normal procedure in the real world, it all comes together toward the end of the film. What emerges is a reflection of values in the stories we love seeing inside of comic books. It's not an epic movie. It doesn't have a lot of twists, but it's not a clunker. It doesn't have the surprise ending you might expect in a Shyamalan movie. But if you think deeply about it, in the last two movies, he's been telling you there's an equal and opposite to every superhero villain that appears. You'll be expecting another movie. Mr. Glass has his opposite in Unbreakable, but no opposite to the Beast has ever been seen. If the Beast is a schizo evildoer, there must be a very focused do-gooder out there to balance him. My husband thinks it's Richard Simmons. The fact that we stood around to talk about what and who that person might be after the movie, lingering in the theater and outside of it, talking about the clues and how things tied together, is the sign of a good story. And that's what we've been asking for, right? Isn't that what everyone wants? So why did the critics hate it? Sci-fi, or speculative fiction, to tie it together with comic books, as I've mentioned before, has a long history of being snubbed by critics and embraced by the public. Star Wars was the first big sci-fi film to be nominated by the Academy for Best Film, but it didn't win Best Film in 1978. Do you know what did win? Annie Hall. Have you ever seen that movie? I haven't. Do you know a single person that has seen it? Do you know a single person who hasn't seen Star Wars? So, the Academy has been out of touch with the public for at least 50 years, but they still stand as a battlement guarding the dinosaur entertainment industry and that insular bubble, of which critics seem to be a part. Science fiction continues to be massively popular, and the Academy continues to snub it. The Martian, awesome book by the way, was so popular that it couldn't be ignored. But it didn't win. Even if it had, it wasn't in the top 5 best-selling movies of 2015. Reviewing the best-selling movies of 2016, you'd wonder where the Academy was and why they weren't watching the same movies the public was. Look at the top-selling movies in the last few years, and it's pretty clear that the public loves sci-fi and comic books. Looking at the last few years, it was sci-fi, Disney, comic book. Sci-fi, Disney, comic book. Sci-fi, Disney, comic book. So the problem with this split between critics in Hollywood and the fans that watch the movies and love them seems to be reflected in everything from video games to politics. Every critic, like so many commentators on public life, the elites in Hollywood, DC, and New York, seem to be stuck in a bubble they can't see out of. The movies we love come out of this bubble. So why do they stay in it if everything inside is so horrible? I can't figure that out. All I know is if I see a movie that has a low critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, If I hear about a movie that any pocket of elites sneer about, I'm probably going to see it, just out of curiosity. This is Noelle Campbell, saving the world one person at a time, starting with myself.